Welcome, welcome, Sam Seder.
Always a pleasure to be here, Molly.
I am happy to have you here because I feel like you are equally outraged. I mean, I know we're going to talk about the corruption because you have to talk about the corruption because it's so glaring. It's the corruption, but it's also just the blatant stupidity of the thing. But we can start with Trump's SEC chair prevented the head of enforcement at the SEC from investigating Trump's circle for insider trading. And
Yeah,
she
she's
resigned.
her name was Margaret Ryan.
Yeah.
She's been on the job for only about 6, 7 months or so. And usually it's a job like you stay there for a long time. She was the chief
Hmm.
enforcement officer of the SEC, and they were investigating the Trump business between the crypto and other things. And apparently, you're not allowed to do that at the
Right.
SEC. And
It, it was the enforcement they had the problem with.
yeah, no, you can show up to work, but you're just not supposed to do anything. It feels like every week there is at least one example of enormous corruption that the Trump administration is doing that would take out any other administration.
Yes.
Like we probably have had, honestly, like, I don't know, 25 of these stories.
Yeah.
And it seems to be largely irrelevant because of the nature of this administration, which is incredibly authoritarian, and everybody who works there. I mean, Donald Trump did a very good job having 4 years off of making sure that he surrounded himself with nobody who was going to challenge him. So,
Yeah.
you know, it was surprising to me that Noam was booted because they don't really seem to feel political pressure in the same way that any other administration does, because everybody just closes ranks. And, that's why we're invading a country, possibly. We're certainly bombing a country involved in a huge war with 40% of the country supports it, tops, and doesn't seem to be influencing Trump at all. And so, but it's fascinating. The corruption is just, I don't think that we can fully grasp the depth of the corruption. It's so transactional and naked.
That is why, with the oil futures situation, with the question of whether or not Trump world, Trump says the war's over, the market's open, they rally, the market's closed. Trump says we're going to bomb them.
Well, but there's also some front running. I mean, so there's two different things going
Correct.
on here, right? Like
Yes.
there's this sense of he's responding to the markets, although I think it's also possible. We've got what 3,500 U.S. airborne.
The Marines from
I
Japan
think it
and
was a
from
Marine
Asia.
Expeditionary Force, and the airborne is like, I don't know, 4 days out. It's possible he was just buying time, but it's also possible he was just reacting to the market and there isn't necessarily a plan. But then there's also like, you've got people buying oil futures, moments before he makes these announcements.
Yeah.
And, we've seen this time and time again. We've seen it, on Polymarket. That's just like insider trading, which I don't know. It's hard to assess which is worse. It's quite obvious there's a tremendous amount of corruption, and they're just milking every single aspect of the job is being monetized. Today it was official that the Trump administration is paying a French company that had bought about $1 billion worth of federal leases to build wind farms off the coast of New York State and North Carolina.
Right. Wind
Not
farms that we need to make power that would be
exactly.
free once it got going.
Exactly.
Or relatively free.
Yeah, relatively. And he's making them whole as a way of, like, I guess buying them out. But part of the deal is we'll give you $1 billion, taxpayer money.
Right.
You then have to invest in a new liquid natural gas refinery in Texas and some other oil deals down there. So essentially, tax dollars to subsidize, more or less, more fossil fuel production. The company itself said, like, we still believe that wind power is the thing, but it's just too expensive now to do it in America because, of course, it would take all sorts of legal hurdles. And then just one other sort of side note to this. In December, Donald Trump's media company, which trades under DJT, I think it is, did a $6 billion all stock transaction. No money involved in this. A stock transaction with a company that is in development of fusion.
Right.
Now, we've been hearing about fusion power for a long time. It's always like
20 years.
It always feels like it's a decade
15
away. Yeah,
years.
exactly. And
Yeah.
this is supposedly a decade away.
They
But
make energy with nothing.
well, here's the
It
thing.
might happen.
It might happen, but at the very least, we know that they have less competition because Donald Trump is essentially destroying the solar market,
Yeah.
both in terms of like the centralized stuff with the solar panels, you no longer subsidize to put those on your house, but also taking out these wind farms. So even as like a pump and dump scheme, he's using taxpayer dollars to increase the value of his company's all stock investment in this fusion company. It's stunning.
So it's corruption and it's grift and it's sort of Venn diagram of both. I want to go back to Kristi Noem because I think that her being kicked to the curb is an interesting phenomenon. And I want to talk about a press conference yesterday that Donald Trump did so one of the things Trump does is he backs away from things when they start to seem like they might be. And one of the things that happened with Kristi Noem is it turns out she spent $220 million on horseback riding, basically. Horseback riding movies and cowboy hats. And that's quite a lot of money, even for this administration. She's the tactical pants, right? The Scott Pruitt with the tactical pants of Trump 1.0. I was watching this press conference yesterday, and there was one today where he said a lot of crazy stuff. But yesterday, I thought it seemed as if he was starting to make a case that Whiskey Pete might eventually go the way of Kristi Noem.
I don't know if we watched the same press conference, but he said at one point, like, Pete told me to do this.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It was all Pete's idea.
He's always looking for a fall guy. It occurred to me today on my show. It's like, maybe what we all need to do, it's not like Donald Trump watches my show, but we should all just pretend he's won. Just give him a little bit of grace, tell him that he's won, and hopefully back out. I don't know. The plan could be also to, it's unclear. I don't think that, we're in a position. The New York Times reported that MBS Crown.
Yes.
The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia supposedly encouraging him to go further. The Saudi government denied it, but who knows? It certainly wouldn't be on Israel, who definitely wants us to go further to say that it's the Saudis. But Mattis, Mad Dog Mattis,
yes, who is too sane for this administration and is out.
He yesterday reportedly said at some event that, like, if we leave now, Iran's going to charge a toll to get through the Strait of Hormuz, which apparently oil companies don't like. I don't know this for a fact. I haven't done any research on this, but I'm willing to bet you that Mattis works for a defense contractor.
I don't
sits on a
doubt
couple
it.
of boards, and so
just put the toll up. I'm fine with that. Go.
The thing is that there's a lot of people who, as much as this looks like a disaster to us,
right,
and as much as like, a 3 or 4 month oil shock and all of the sort of like other implications of the fertilizer shortage, which I think won't
during
really
planting season.
Won't really crest until 2027. I think the fertilizer is already in the system for this crop, but 2027, you're going to see a lot of social upheaval. The last time we saw that, we got the Arab Spring.
Right.
But who knows where this will happen. There's a lot of people who can make a lot of money off of this. And, as to like why Donald Trump did this, which is clearly no political upside, right? For him, like if he wins, whatever that means, and we pull out, like he's not going to be in better shape than he was before we went in. So to me, it sounds like he's got to be making some money some way. Right. He doesn't.
And he even said that.
Factor for him.
Right. Remember, he even first, before he got elected, he told oil company billionaires,
Oh,
you should give me money, you'll earn the money back. And then even recently, he said, here's a Truth Social post. The United States is the largest oil producer in the world by far. So when oil prices go up, we make a lot of money.
no.
Because they only privatize the gains, they socialize the losses, we don't make a lot of money.
No, we actually, if you want to look at sheer numbers, is actually the ones who are paying more money in gas prices and in inflation from everywhere else. We are the
Hmm.
ones who are paying the oil companies who are making all the money.
Right. I want to go back to Joe Kent for a minute because you've got my head going on the people who leave the administration. So this administration closes rank really well. And the difference between Trump 1.0 and Trump 2.0 is that everybody stays in, right? So if you get fired, you move to a different job, which prevents you from doing interviews
Yeah.
and writing books. So Kristi Noem now runs the Shield of the Americas, which is not a real thing, but she's too stupid to know.
Probably a
I think
good
that's
job. I mean,
right. Did she get to wear the cowboy hat? But let me just say, she does not get her picture everywhere. Like she used to have her picture in airports, not anymore.
and I would imagine her political career, I think it's over. Right?
Yes.
Like, I mean, like, what,
Yeah.
like, if she had any desires of being like a VP for somebody or something like that,
No.
I find that's done.
Yeah. But everybody's political career. I mean, everyone who's gotten in any kind of contact with Trump world is not going to have. I mean, JD Vance is hiding from this war.
JD Vance has gone into is like it does seem like he's hiding in a bunker right now. And Marco Rubio, remember him? He was
Yeah.
our Secretary of State. I haven't seen him in like
I
2
mean,
weeks.
you don't see, I mean, the crazy part is JD Vance, who could not stop defending everything in the entire world, if there was a Nazi group chat, he was out there being like, those kids, they were just 32. That guy does not tweet anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like, that's my point is like, from a political standpoint, this is not a good thing for Trump to do.
No.
And so they could not make the argument that that was the case. Somebody told him it was going to be a slam dunk. But I also imagine he's got to be somebody. There has to be an entity that is putting money in his pocket in some fashion
Right.
that is in favor of this. Maybe it is Saudi Arabia. Maybe it's some other country, but somewhere he is making money from this. I mean, I listen.
It has to be. Has to be.
If oil gets more expensive, maybe he owns part of like the output of Venezuela and maybe he's getting, I don't know, but there is no other logic to it.
You mentioned this before, but Reuters reports this morning, and again, this is we sort of knew this was true, but that Trump gets off the phone with Netanyahu and orders the strike, right? And then we have this Times reporting later in the day that Saudis, wanted this, involved in this, hoping for more from this. I always am curious about the timing of stories like this.
Yeah.
And we're both liberal Jews. So I get very worried about this for any number of reasons. But, a lot of people on the right are saying it's anti Semitic to say that Israel somehow was involved in this war, though clearly they were. No, but, the Jonathan Greenblatts of the world.
Jonathan Greenblatt is a grift. I honestly, if Jonathan Greenblatt told me my house was burning down, I wouldn't believe it. Both Marco Rubio and people somehow forget this. Mike Johnson, almost at the exact same time that Marco Rubio said,
yes,
we attacked because Israel said they were going to attack and we thought we would be attacked. And so we were preempting that.
By the way, an insane statement.
Well, only if like they had agreed that was the best case scenario to sort of like say we had to do this. They could have stopped Israel in that instant. They could have said,
Bill Clinton,
we're not.
You're not the superpower. We're the superpower.
Of course.
Yeah.
It without a doubt. I'm not even convinced it's in Israel's best interest, but certainly it was certainly on their bucket list. Netanyahu's been saying that. Yes. And I mean, let's be honest. Like you look at this country, 93% of the polling is in favor of the multitude of wars that they're waging right now. When other countries look at this country, and see Donald Trump as winning twice, even though one time he didn't win the
Popular vote.
popular vote, they would be nuts to assume that this country isn't at the very least 48% on board with Donald Trump.
Right.
And I'm sorry, when you look at Netanyahu, who's been in power for 30 years in that country, off and on, the fact of the matter is there's no government that's going to be demonstrably better than Netanyahu, particularly with the way that the system of their government is. And the polling shows 93% they're excited about their war in Lebanon as they're trying to push up and essentially expansionist Israel. They're talking now about resetting a boundary permanently, or at least semi-permanently, in Lebanon. They're basically waging pogroms in the West Bank. We've seen them destroy and flatten Gaza and still continue to create incredible deprivation and immiseration of Palestinians in Gaza. I mean, so it was certainly within Israel's interests. Why Donald Trump decides to form U.S. policy around Israel's interests, that was the story they told us until they realized, like, hey, this doesn't necessarily jibe with America first. I have no doubt that there was also some other interest that Donald Trump had. I say, I wouldn't be surprised to find out, like, there are—
He's making money, or
there is a Gulf
Jared's
country
making
that
money.
that somehow, or yes, in some fashion.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that in the absence of Miriam Adelson's $150 million that we know of in this last cycle, and the promises he made to her, and like maybe Netanyahu said, like, we're going to make this thing happen for you and Jared in Gaza, and you guys are going to have your Gold Coast in Gaza. I mean, who knows what inspired, but the idea that, you know,
that he's cooked this up on his own seems insane.
It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd to suggest that. I mean, particularly when you see half his administration running the opposite way. I mean, you saw that press conference when there's a clip of Stephen Miller when Trump is talking about, you know, blowing up Iran. Even Stephen Miller is like, because it's interfering with his, his
mass deportation,
deportation, essentially, you know, a purification of America agenda. I mean, where is this coming from within the administration outside of Laura Loomer, who is, like, you know, providing full-throated support for this? So I think it's naive and just, frankly, I find it offensive to say that it's anti-Semitic, to point out that Israel has its own agenda as a nation. I find it
which is not ours, by the way.
Exactly. And I find it incredibly dangerous, frankly, for Jews who live in this country and other countries to say criticism of Israel is anti-Semitic, and that because it implies that Israelis and Jews are the same thing and they have the same agenda, and they don't.
Listen, I agree.
That conflation is dangerous to me and to my family.
Yes, and bad for the Jews.
Yes.
And anti-Semitism that we're all afraid of will be begotten by the confabulation of Jews and Israel.
I think the fact of the matter is that, you know, one of the sort of rationales for Israel is because Jews need a place to be safe. And I think it is simply objectively the case that Israel is making Jews less safe.
Yeah, I think that's right. Sam Seder, I hope you'll come back.
Molly, I would love to.